The narrative in our culture today is that there is a conflict between science and the Christian faith, and people who perceive that conflict include young people in the church. And it's my experience that oftentimes young people who grow up in the church somehow get the notion that science can be dangerous and that science is a subject area that needs to be avoided, or we want to just have minimal exposure to scientific ideas in order to keep the faith intact of these young people. Dominic, what would you say to a young person who is growing up in the church and who's interested in science or engineering or medicine?
We live in a science-saturated society, and we benefit from the incredible explosion of technology and all of the benefits that that provides. And so if a young person is gifted in this area of mathematics and analytical thinking and science and engineering, they need to know that it's okay to pursue these areas, and that's just being a good steward of the gifts that God has given you. And we need help in the Christian community in understanding these issues better. So I'm grateful for any young people that go into the science and engineering areas. I don't think we should consider it dangerous. It's all God's creation. It's all God's knowledge that He's provided us with. And as long as we are open and in dialogue about these issues, not afraid, but trusting God that He's going to show us His truth, no matter what revelation it comes from, Scripture or nature, we shouldn't worry about it.
You're an ideal person to ask this question to because you have a PhD in engineering, but you also are a college professor at Oral Roberts University, which is a Christian university. And so you are training up young people in the faith, but also in science and engineering. Can these areas of study and can careers in these areas be viewed as ministry?
Oh yes, it's we look at it from the perspective of worship as an act of worship, science as an act of worship, or engineering as an act of worship. It's a way of being a steward of the gifts God has given you to make scientific discoveries. The joy of discovery is a beautiful part of the life that God has given us, and the joy of problem solving. These are all aspects of how we have been made in the image of God with some of the creativity and resourcefulness that He has given us. And He expects us to use our brains in the ways that He's given us talents and skills. Even Jesus said, worship God with your whole being, including your mind.
So what would you say to a student in practical terms who wants to study engineering or science or medicine?
You have chosen the way of pain. They typically are some of the more difficult majors that you can take at a university. And that's just the way it goes. You've got some majors that require more practice in the very methods of science and engineering. But if you're gifted in that area, it's a joy. So we encourage students to go into that area and make the most of what God has given them.